is a high prevalence of suicide amongst teen boys in native country. And one of the many factors contributing to that was a lack of the coming of age ceremony.
You've been listening to the Mountain Tough podcast. My men's group and guys in my circle, one of the common topics that does come up is that current American culture doesn't have a manhood ceremony that allows a young man to make that transition from being a boy to being a man. And every other culture in the world does have kind of that passing of the torch manhood ceremony. And somewhere along the line, as Americans, we have lost that. And so a lot of guys in my men's group, I have 2 young daughters, but a lot of the guys have young sons. And so they are creating their own manhood ceremonies because it is important for the boy to have those skills, but it's also very important for that boy to know he is now a man and he doesn't have to question that anymore. And it is so amazing how quickly hunting for sure can become an integral part of that manhood process and that manhood ceremony because of all of the elements you just mentioned of, being outside, being cold, being wet, being tired, being hungry. You're in the snow, you're in the rain. All of those trials and tribulations can lead to later on in life their ability to handle adversity differently. And so I think it's so amazing that you're bringing that back in your culture because it's such an important thing.
It really is, and I'm glad to hear that that's something that's of interest too in your circle. And you know, as men of all walks of life, I believe that we have more similarities than we do differences, regardless of our cultural, upbringing, our ethnicity, regardless of our social political ideology, or religious orientation and such, that we have more similarities than we do differences. And I believe that in this country in particular, we have to celebrate those. And I believe that that's where we have to meet each other in those areas and support, because as men, regardless of our ethnicity, we're all chemically made up of the same thing.
Mhm.
We all thrive in certain environments where we need camaraderie, we need mentorship, we need brotherhood, we need these spaces right here where men can confide, and feel vulnerable, not be shamed by it because of what they're dealing with. We need these spaces where men also can help you, there's those moments where we need that compassion and empathy. But there's also those moments where we need someone to shake us and wake us up and,
Yep.
tell us, wake up, look at yourself in the mirror.
Yep.
You're stronger than this. You've been through more. You should know this. You should be able to do this. We need that difference, and we need to emit energy. As men, it's hard for us to sit here at the desk typing away. It's hard just to sit here, double tap, scroll, look, respond. It's hard to sit at a stoplight and wait, and it's hard to be in line at the grocery store and look at what are we going to buy today here, and let's we need to be, and I do those things. We all have to do those. But if that's all we are doing, it's hard
It's
for a lot of
brutal.
men. Some men can do it, but for some of us, it's not fulfilling. It's not, I have to be out there on the land doing stuff. I have to be hands-on. I have to be in the community with working. I need to be singing of some sort, dancing of some sort. I need to be talking my ass off like I'm now. You
Physical
know,
expression.
yes,
Yeah.
I need to have that presence there. And for a lot of men, who haven't discovered that yet. They haven't discovered that. And I think that you mentioned earlier, we see a high prevalence, right, of addiction,
Mm.
depression, anxiety is at all-time high. And that's because everywhere we turn in dominant society, something is clashing with our genetic makeup. The world we're living in is at complete odds with what we require to thrive
Mm.
physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, as human beings of all walks of life. And as men, we certainly need that, and we're not getting that in the society. So it's good to hear that within your guys' community and circles that men recognize there needs to be a coming of age ceremony. And you outlined it, perfectly earlier, is there needs to be a series of events and actions done in words recited in order for that young man to know you've shifted now. Now
Hmm.
you've shifted. In native cultures, a lot of that coming of age ceremony from boy to manhood happens when his voice first cracks,
Hmm.
because then we know now he's going through the hormonal changes, that he's producing a little bit more testosterone, and testosterone, as we know, is going to change the mind. He's going to experience a growth spurt. He's going to experience a growth in physical strength,
Yeah.
power, appetite. He's gonna be sleeping. He's gonna be looking at, the world differently. His mind's going to change, and that's the time where we say, okay, now it's time for you to go through. You need to go through these set of actions, and you need to have other men come around you, and they're gonna be there to guide you through this. And it could be one day, it could be 4 days long, it could be a week long, however long that the community of men decide
Hmm.
it needs to take. But it's that community of men around him also to let him know this is your role now as a man. As a man, this is what's expected of you. So there's a sense of accountability that's created for him. So
Yeah.
he now knows he's not just free to do whatever he wants because he's this powerful young man, but he has accountability. He's held
Hmm.
accountable to present himself in public in a certain way. He has etiquette he has to abide by. And now he has new endeavors and a vision in his mind. Now he has to think about, who am I going to be as a young man? Now I
Yeah.
can give life, but do I want to do that now? Or do I need to wait and get myself in order and get a good job and get a good education, learn a trade or a skill of some sort, being able to contribute to society in a positive way, and being in a place to be able to provide financially for the family, but also provide in the sense of getting out on the land, right? Learn how to build things, learn how to use his hands, learn basics of mechanics, learn basics of house keeping, a house functioning. There's all these things that I think that community of men can be around him to tell him and teach him. But it's certainly something that, as a young person too, they need this something to happen and click. Okay, now you're ready, or
Yeah.
now you're on that journey. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
can't be this long drawn out thing where they discover 10, 15 years down the line, oh, I'm a man now.
Mm.
By the time they've already committed crimes, by the time they may have, been aggressive and, hurt women or children or other men, or by the time they've killed somebody, we can't wait until all
Yeah.
that happens to this long, drawn out experiences of turmoil before they realize they're a man and they need to heal and they need to be a certain way. And
Mm.
it starts with that coming of age. There's a doctor by the name of Dr. Eduardo Duran. He wrote the book Soul Healing, or Soul Wound Healing, I believe. And he talks about that's what he also believes, is there is a high prevalence of suicide amongst teen boys in native country. And one of the many factors contributing to that was a lack of the coming of age ceremony. So in some native communities, they've maintained it. In my community, they revitalized it. They brought
Mm.
it back and they had to create it. So it's good to hear that that's what you guys are doing. Is people Men should not be afraid of giving themselves the permission to create something new going forward and
Yeah.
making it tradition.
Yeah.
So
Being a chain breaker.